Hello, and welcome to this presentation that will serve as an introduction to the Seattle Torrent. I'm Mario Black, and the goal today is to introduce you to one of the PWHL's two newest teams. The Seattle Torrent played in Climate Pledge Arena. The arena also hosts the Seattle Storm of the WNBA and the Seattle Kraken of the NHL. The arena was built in the 1960s, and the first hockey team it hosted was the Seattle Totems of the Western Hockey League. The arena would be home of the NBA Seattle Supersonics for several decades before the teams moved to Oklahoma City in 2008. Last decade, the arena went through major renovations with the idea of attracting new sports teams. In 2021, the newest variant of the arena opened, and the NHL expanded to Seattle that same year with the Kraken. 4 years later, in 2025, the PWHL hosted a takeover tour game in Seattle, which drew over 12,000 fans. By the end of 2025, Seattle had been awarded a new PWHL team, and they began play that same year. Seattle's general manager is Megan Turner. Turner played hockey at Quinnipiac from 2013 to 2017 and was on the team that won their first ever conference championship in 2016. Turner also played in the CWHL for a season with the Worcester Blades before moving on to play 3 years with the PWHPA. Turner was also an assistant general manager for the Boston Fleet for the league's first couple of seasons before she was hired for leading duties by the Seattle Torrent. Seattle's head coach is Steve O'Rourke. O'Rourke played at the University of Lethbridge and was drafted by the New York Islanders in 1992. O'Rourke would bounce around the minor leagues for several years before ending his playing career in 2006. In 2009, O'Rourke would get into coaching, becoming the assistant for the Abbotsford Heat of the AHL. After a year coaching the Langley Rivermen in the junior ranks, O'Rourke would be moved to major juniors and became an assistant coach for the Red Deer Rebels. He'd moved to Prince George in 2016 and become an associate head coach with them. In 2022, O'Rourke became an associate head coach with the Oshawa Generals and was promoted to head coach in 2024. He'd finished runner-up in the OHL and would be the first Seattle Torrent head coach following his time with Oshawa. Seattle is captained by hockey legend Hillary Knight, and her alternates are Alex Carpenter and Emily Brown. Seattle is an expansion team for the 2025-2026 season, so unlike the other teams thus far, I have no history to talk about. And now moving on to the roster. One note is that, as I was writing this, the Seattle Torrent traded forward Jesse Eldridge to Boston for forward Teresa Schaffsel. So Schaffsel is going to be on both this presentation and the previous Boston Fleet presentation. I would personally like to apologize to Jessie Eldridge for not having her on any of these, and maybe someday I'll do a player profile on her in the future just to make up for it. And moving on to the player profiles. Coppell, Texas is a commuter town in the Dallas-Fort Worth metro area. It's a decent-sized town, but not one you'd expect an Olympic champion ice hockey player to originate from. Hannah Bilka, however, found her way from Coppell, Texas to the top of the Olympic podium. She was inspired by watching her brother play lower division college hockey, and she was also inspired by the 2010 Winter Olympics. Bilka pushed through the challenges of limited opportunities in her area to play girls hockey. At the age of 14, she moved to a boarding school in Minnesota to get more opportunities. Her move would pay off as she would attract enough attention to get a scholarship from Boston College. Before attending BC, Bilka would play in the World Juniors for the U.S. twice and win gold and silver in the two tournaments respectively. Bilka was the National Rookie of the Year at Boston College in 2020 and picked up end-of-season accolades each year in the Hockey East Conference for all the years she spent at Boston College. In her final year in college, she transferred to Ohio State, where she put up her best point season and won a national championship. Bilka assisted on the game-winning goal in the national championship game itself. Bilka was then drafted 4th overall by Boston in the 2024 draft. Bilka dealt with injuries her rookie year, but still put up 11 points in 16 games, which is quite good for a rookie. Seattle picked her up in expansion, and she's expected to be a centerpiece for the Torrent for years to come. Bilka is also a regular with the national team and picked up World Championship gold in 2023, as well as the aforementioned Olympic gold, which happened in 2026. Speaking of gold, there's very few athletes in all of sports throughout the world more familiar with gold than Seattle and U.S. captain Hillary Knight. Where do you even start? Knight's 5 Olympic medals ties the record, and 2 of those medals are gold. Knight's 15 World Championship medals are a record for all players. Her 10 World Championship gold medals are also a record. She was an NCAA champion and NCAA tournament MVP at Wisconsin in college. She was a most outstanding player in the CWHL, and she was also a scoring champion in the NWHL and PWHL. She's the first ever IIHF Female Player of the Year. She's the face of hockey in the U.S. and has come to embrace that role. Hilary Knight, along with Marie-Philippe Poulin, are the defining players of their generation. Generations of players to follow will be able to trace their influence into playing their sport back to these 2 giants of the game. Knight is among the pantheon of the greatest to ever do it, and while we can't know how much longer she'll play, we do know that one day she'll be giving an acceptance speech at the Hockey Hall of Fame in Toronto. It's hard to follow Knight, but Alex Carpenter is putting up a Hall of Fame level career in her own right. Knight's countrywoman has won gold at all 3 levels of international hockey. She won World Junior Gold in 2011. She won World Championship Gold on 7 separate occasions. And she finally got her Olympic gold in 2026. She has a total of 16 international medals. Carpenter was a standout at Boston College, averaging over 2 points per game in her final 2 seasons at the school. She also won the Patty Kazmaier Award in 2015 as the best player in college hockey. As a professional, she would be an all-star with the NWHL, the CWHL, and the PWHL. In the Russian League, she was the MVP in 2020 and won a championship. Carpenter was one of the foundational players signed by New York when the league started and managed to hit the 20-point threshold in each of the first 2 seasons of the league. In expansion, Seattle picked up Carpenter and announced her as an alternate captain. To switch it up with someone who's much younger, Julia Gosling is a rising talent that's already made herself a mainstay on the Canadian women's national team. Gosling won gold in the World Championships in 2024 and silver in 2025. In the 2026 Olympics, Gosling was a standout with 5 points in 7 games, including 3 goals. Gosling played her college hockey at St. Lawrence University, where she would be over a point per game player. Gosling's cousin, Nicole, is a defender on the Montreal Victoire, and the cousins were both on the 2024 World Championship winning squad for Canada. Moving to the defenders. The lone Czech player on the Seattle roster, Aneta Taylorova, is a Czech hockey legend. She joined the national team at 15 years old in 2012 and has been a mainstay ever since. She was a member of the 2022 and 2023 World Championship bronze medal winning teams for Czechia. Those are the first ever top flight medals for the country. She's the current captain of the national team as well. At the club level, Taylorova played a couple of years in Czechia before spending 7 years in Russia, where she got multiple All-Star nods. In recent years, she spent 1 year with Boston in the PHF before moving back overseas to Modo in the Swedish League. She was drafted by Ottawa in the inaugural PWHL draft and played 2 seasons with them before going to Seattle. Kayla Barnes isn't the most physically imposing player at 5'2", but she's a strong offensive defender and has overcome any questions of size with her play from the get-go. Barnes spent 4 full seasons at Boston College, where she racked up All-American honors. While at Boston College, Barnes represented the U.S. in the 2018 Olympics, where she won gold. She also represented the U.S. in the 2022 Olympics, where she won silver, and she represented the U.S. for 3 World Championships, all while at Boston College. Barnes would play her last season at Ohio State and would win an NCAA title and a World Championship internationally. Barnes was drafted in the first round by Montreal and was an all-rookie that season. During expansion, Seattle picked up Barnes, and she would win another Olympic gold in 2026. Emily Brown is the definition of a defender. She's not one to put up big point totals, but she's there for one reason, and that's to keep the puck out of her own team's net. Brown played 5 years at the University of Minnesota, where she spent 3 years as either a captain or a co-captain for the Golden Gophers. Boston drafted her when the league was formed, and Brown picked up 2 assists in the playoffs for Boston in the first season of the league. Brown has also seen sporadic time with the national team, winning a World Junior Championship and being called up to the senior squad a few times for rivalry series games against Canada. If you watch Seattle, they often split the net with veteran Corinne Schroeder and rookie Hannah Murphy. I'll focus on Schroeder as she gets a bulk of the playing time and has a bit more history to discuss. However, Murphy is going to be a mainstay in the league for years to come and has already played well as a rookie. Corinne Schroeder won postseason honors each of her 4 years at Boston University. Then she transferred to Quinnipiac and was the team MVP with an outstanding .951 save percentage. Her first professional season with the Boston Pride of the PHF somehow topped that save percentage, where she had a .955 save percentage and was named Goalie of the Year and Rookie of the Year in the same season. Schroeder was drafted by New York and made history, becoming the first goalie to pick up a shutout when she blanked Toronto in the league's first ever game. She was a Goalie of the Year finalist that first year as well. After the league's second season, Seattle picked Schroeder up to be their starting goalie. Each of these teams has been around for 3 seasons or less, so it's hard to build big traditions in that time. Harder still is for a team like Seattle, who's existed for less than a year. The Torrent have done well with attendance. So far in the league's 3rd season, the Torrent have the highest average attendance. With more people comes louder crowds, and the Seattle crowd likes to sing along with the PA music, continuing even after it's cut off when the play resumes. It's something you'll hear at many arenas, but it stands out a little more in Seattle just due to the volume of people they have. Seattle fans have also begun to embrace the water-themed team name, and you'll see a lot of signs referring to things like the sea, waves, and other water-related puns. When Seattle scores, they play Misery Business by Paramore, and they play Right Back Where We Started From by Maxine Nightingale whenever they win. That'll be all for this presentation. Thank you very much for watching. Please leave any feedback you have below. Next week I'll talk about the Toronto Scepters. Like and subscribe if you want. Appreciate you viewing this, and I hope all of you have a great day.